after a few weeks. Then it sat untitled.
Welcome to Center of Light on this beautiful, forgive me, Saturday night. COVID has us all bitten. It's good to see you. Keith Anthony Blanchard here, spiritual teacher, best-selling author, I must say. I'm grateful. I'm doing a couple adjustments. Excuse me. Things got rearranged since. I'll share that later. Welcome to Center of Light. Good to see you. Tonight is Center of Light. Heaven. What is heaven? Notice I didn't say where is heaven. The question I posed is what is heaven? It could be a where. If it's anywhere, it's in there, in here. Tonight's presentation was inspired. I have really no notes. I'm grateful. Yeah, I'm bragging because I've done my work. When you do your work and you craft, you earn that right, so to speak. But I'm able to sit in this chair. The one thing I love doing is creating and being with you as you are with me. Together we play eternally. Tonight's presentation comes via, hello Rena, via the Bee Gees. I didn't realize till recently how much I freaking love the Bee Gees. Musical avatars. God incarnated as three brothers to have the exact same voice. Their vibrato is impeccable. It's not one guy singing all the parts as to why it sounds like so perfect. It's these three brothers who are so in harmony, in sync. And the song that's inspired me for tonight is Too Much Heaven by the Bee Gees. So tonight is Center of Light, Heaven. Everything we are, my God, this is delicious. Everything we are will never die. One of the lyrics in that powerful, spiritual, gospel song, everything we are will never die. Have we ever, I'm asking myself this question, have I ever really fallen into a meditation? And I have, but deeper than I've ever known, maybe I haven't. To pose the question of myself and sit with the conundrum, because it is a conundrum. And the joke will be on what you think is you. But when you begin to laugh at yourself, you go from the one that feels like you're the butt of a joke to the one guffawing and laughing at yourself. All that we are, or everything we are, will never die. It will never die. I need to ask myself that question a little more passionately, sincerely, a little more deeply. What is forever? I, you, we, or forever? Have you sat with that enough to where you get some grasp? Not because of your mind, because your mind does not understand it, nor could it ever. That's beautiful. It's purposeful. The mind is not supposed to understand it. That's the heart's job. So everything has a limb on the cosmic body of God. Everything has a purpose. This is my arm. I can reach with my arm. Here's my fingers. I can grab with my hand. I can feel with my heart. I can analyze and be literal with my mind. Everything, when in balance, brings you to heaven. So what is heaven? Is it a place? It's more a space. You can call it a place, because I hope that you place yourself in such a space that you feel the divine grace of eternity. Center of Light, Heaven. Everything we really are, it will never die. Most people, including myself, on some level, We have a fear of death. This is not your first rodeo, cowboy or cowgirl. You are going to die. It's inevitable. So your anxiety about it becomes a neurotic dance. It's not an insult. It's just a clinical way of saying you just resisting the inevitability. I don't like it. You don't have to like it. In fact, your greatest possible growth happens in the acceptance of something you simply don't like. There's your lightning strike and your spike of spiritual spirits. Have a shot. How does that shot feel going down? Doesn't feel so well. How do you feel after? Can you balance yourself in the mayhem? All we are, or everything we are, will never die. It will never die. So what is that everything that will never die? And where is it located? It's located right here. That. There is nothing else. You're searching, literally, my friend. It's completely over. It's over and done with. All of it. If you choose it to be. But it's phenomenal to be human because I'm really good at being human. I get it. It's gorgeous. It's delicious. It's fun. Until someone gets hurt. It's fun until someone gets hurt. We've heard that before. In jest, but also powerfully. It's fun. But it seems we always get hurt. Hurt, I'll tell you about hurt. Hurt is an expectation of the mind, not of the heart. No matter how you... Well, Keith, you don't... I do understand, because I'm just like you. Completely like you. So much so. Pain, when you break your toe, that's natural. The feeling of pain, that's natural. Suffering is self-induced. Let me introduce you to self-induced suffering. When you break your toe, you don't go into suffering. You just say, oh my God, this freaking hurts. You don't go into this guilt and this anger and this compounded way of being about not being able to have the capacity of seeing. Suffering is not heaven. I would invite, take this how you like, but it is in context. See, if you take it out of context, that's your own vexation, not your way to liberation. If you choose to see your master teacher, Jesus, as one that suffered, I get it. It's a beautiful idea, but it only goes this far. He didn't suffer. He felt pain. That's more correct. So this is not blasphemic at all. What I'm saying is an avatar made a choice to say, I am worth than what anyone else may think is their body or corporeal self as such importance that I'm not going to do this. It's okay. No one is asking you to go on trial by fire, but you can choose it to follow the master, which is some part of you is going to die. And he realized that over the course of his life, some part of me over the course of my life is going to die. So if that is what is required of me, not only serve and save myself, but everyone else that comes after me, I will have lived for a divine purpose. Such a way of being, such a way of seeing creates everlasting life. So center of light tonight is center of light heaven. It's not a place unless you place yourself there. It's a space. It's a grace that belongs to you. It is you. It's why you exist in the first place. See, you can't escape these conundrums, can you? you can throw scripture at me, you can throw rocks at me, it's because I've triggered you. Well, pick up the biggest boulder you find when you get big boulder triggered and throw it at me. Guess what? I'm just going to hold up a simple mirror and say, I love you. And the volley gets tossed back lovingly. Now, what you do, or any of us do, when this comes back to us, changes the entire universe. Chew a nestic of spiritual dynamite. So tonight is Center of Light Heaven. Everything we are will never die. When you sit with that in meditation, everything I am, Moses went up to the mountain, Mount Sinai, and said, God, what is your name? He says, I am that I am. When you realize everything I am will never die. Of course, anything that has to do with I am will never die. Even if it comes from the monkey mind. When the monkey mind says, I am sick, I am miserable, I am upset, the I am of that principle, the God principle behind the I am of it says, you can have it. You're right. You're my child. And whatever it is you want, your wish is my command. You can have it. So when we go into this meditation of looking for, not really looking, that's just a word I'm using. It's not a looking. It's a being within yourself. And I don't mean there's a being within yourself, but there is. But I mean being in yourself. Simply be in yourself fully. To tap into everything that you are will never die. Most people are scared of their death. That's not what's happening. It seems real, but it's not. The truth is, they regret on the backside that they have not actually allowed themselves to live. It's not about, I'm scared to die. You ask a person in a convalescent home who's lived 95 years, they're like, get me out of this meat suit now. I want to go somewhere else. Even if I'm atheist, I want to go into black and silence. I'm done with this nonsense. They have no issue whatsoever about moving into something that has to be more joyful and peaceful that we've all experienced. I'm not saying living on earth is not joyful and peaceful. This question simply becomes a self-reflection. Are you joyful and peaceful? I ask myself that beautiful, delicious, transcendent question every day, every moment that I sit in this chair and I click this mouse and move it around. If I got paid by the click, I would be the richest man. Jeff Bezos has nothing on me if I got paid by the click. So I like getting in the click on every level. I want to know what's clicking. I want to click with it. And so the support and help I get from all the clicking, we all help each other. Allegory, when we all get together and help each other, then we understand center of light heaven. Everything we are will never die. I gave my little cat to a beautiful man and a beautiful family a little while ago. I mentioned this last night. This sounds like Keith is pouring his face, but it doesn't matter. Last night, I knew it was my last night with her. I didn't like it at all. And she likes to attack, not out of being mean. She's a tortoiseshell. There's something called tortitude about tortoiseshell cats. They have this fire in them, and she has the fire. So I let her, I don't know if you can see this, rip me apart. And I even had these sleeves on. I let her rip me apart. I didn't feel it. It just felt like little pokes at the time. The second day, because of the bacteria, it looks dramatic, like I'm making it out to be. So I let it go. I felt good. Everything feels balanced. I don't like it. You don't have to like it. Again, you're not going to like losing what you know as your life. Because when you find yourself, there's nothing else to lose because you have life and you understand that on every possible level that you exist in heaven. So heaven is not a place. It's being within yourself. I get glimpses of it all the time, and I'm getting pretty proficient at it. I'm an addict. I'm a God junkie. Call it God. For atheists, if that's what you claim you are, because there's no such thing as atheism. You can't be. I could shut that program down in a few moments. I'm not trying to get you to believe in a God that lives up here, but I can ask you 4 or 5 questions, and you would understand that something beyond what we all have known not only is possible, there is no other way to see it. And most people, and I've met many atheists, agnostics in the past. It's not a pissing contest. I'm not going to see it as the biggest pissing stream, but it's for those who just simply want to have a dialogue and understand something. It's like, you being a fireman. In fact, you're the fire marshal. And I come in as a young gun and a rookie, and I'm going to tell the fire marshal how to fireman. And he's going, bro, what you're giving me is your opinion. Opinions are dangerous. When you're hanging out with your friends at a bar because you've been in a cubicle all week, 9 to 5, and you're drinking beer and having some spirits, and you want to share your opinion, that's called friendship. It's called conversation, venting. This is just my idle thoughts. Idle thoughts are beautiful. It's part of the poetry of being human. But if you lean into them too hard, like castles in the air, they will drop eventually, because it's not anchored and grounded in knowing. Opinions are fun. The truth will kick your ass. It'll black your eye. I'm going to take a short song break, Lavender Soul, and then I'm going to come back with a presentation. This presentation I have tonight. One, I'm going to go back to the title. It's important. I love it. The Bee Gees just became one of my, oh my God. I've always loved them. But now it's like, bruh. Tonight is Center of Light Heaven. The song by the Bee Gees, Too Much Heaven. I am going to post the lyrics here shortly when I go into song break. Read them. And the inspiration of the song, the verse that came out to me was, everything we are will never die. So what is that everything we are will never die? Can you guess? It's not, come over here, baby, give me some kisses and some sugar. It is that. It's way deeper than that. It's love. So what is love? It doesn't mean relationship, because we are all in relationship with everything, everywhere, all the time. It's our relating to reality, or what we think is reality. So we're always having sex, intercourse, and intercourse. Of course we are, because all we are doing is sending out energy and taking energy in. So there's this tantric breathing, this cosmic tantric breath. So the in and out breath of God, as God breathed life into man and we were created in his image and similitude, so we breathe in and breathe out. So we're doing this with everything. So it's love, but it's not on necessarily the superficial layer. It does include that, but let's not exclude the layers of depth that are to the level or to the infinite scale of nothing or infinity, eternity. All that we are will never die. That is the key to liberation. And everyone has it innate within themselves to suck on that everlasting gobstopper, if that's how long it takes, till all you're left with is the stick. Stick to that program and watch what happens. You will find yourself immediately ascend, if you will, actually move in more so to a space of too much heaven. No one gets too much heaven no more. It's as high as a mountain and harder to climb. Do you really want to take on that endeavor? So the question, song I wrote by Lavender Soul. My spiritual band, comprised of members of the Memphis Symphony Orchestra. Bernard Dissect is the singer. I am the lead songwriter. Bernard is phenomenal himself. As well as my book, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, which is now available on Amazon. Keith Anthony Blanchard, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. So it comes down to a choice. To ask ourselves that question. In the Garden of Infinity, Center of Light Heaven, everything, I keep saying all because I had the lyric wrong. Everything we are will never die. And so, knowing that truth, I think everyone would agree with that. God is eternal, and I forever live in God, and God forever lives in me. So to all that I am will never die. So the question becomes, from this song I wrote, oh my God, I can't even tell you the year. I recorded it in my bedroom. What am I looking for? So if we understand that all that I know I am to be will never die, the question becomes, what in the am I looking for?
Inside. What am I hoping for? A better world. Your search for love is taking chances. Have you ever thought to look inside? Where do you go to find your answers? There is a place you haven't tried. Your search for love is taking chances. Have you ever thought to look inside? You hold the key to find your answers. I am the door you have not tried. Never again taking chances. Open your heart and walk inside. Walk inside.
Good to see you. Welcome back to Center of Light. Now I'm going to read you some verses. I'm going to skim over them. Some of them I may dissect, to use a word, a little deeply. I'll let Spirit move me. But I'm going to read you some verses from my new bestseller, Homecoming: Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, which is a link in these forums for those who are in Pulse Radio. Hello, Pulse Radio in the UK, in Durham County, at least the center. My friend Carl, I want to say thank you, Carl. This is a lot of fun for me. I have nothing else to do except sit in this chair in my house and do that very thing I love. So thank you. Homecoming: Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. I'm going to read you some excerpts. This bestseller link is in this forum. If you've read it, please go to the same link and leave me a review of some stars, a little bit of both. Sometimes when I do my presentations, I get a little aloof. Why? I thought I needed Geritol because I'm getting older. The white's starting to show. A lot of it is because when I sit in this chair, I can sit on whatever it is. When we do what we do and we get serious about what we do, another reality begins to enter. We call it heaven. We're not used to the swirling and the twirling of what it's like to be in the garden, aka heaven. So you see, heaven is not a place, it's a space. So it's dreamy. It could be the dreams of your life. Sometimes that very space of heaven simply flip-flops and becomes hell. So when I do what I do, sometimes my dialogue goes from here to there, is because I have so much information coming in that I am vulnerable to. I'm learning the dance of finding, because it just floods my system. When this all began to unfold for me in 95, 96, I thought I was losing my mind. And guess what? I was losing my mind. Because the one thing I really wanted, though I didn't know it at the time, from this vantage point, looking back, 2020, hello 2020, I was losing my mind. It's what I wanted to have happen. Because I shifted from this to a space of a more heavenly realm existing. As the Christ himself said, and other teachers, but the Christ himself said, the kingdom of God is within you. I am in my Father's in me, and I'm in you. So what can be more majestic? Let me ask you this simple question. This will help throw you into that space of a heavenly state. everything that we are will never die. If Christ and God is the most majestic of things, if you're a spiritualist or even a religious person or someone who just appreciates and is humble to a wonderful possibility. If a teacher, be it your grandmother, it doesn't matter, says, I am invested in my Father is invested in me. All this majesty spoken by the Master is within you. I am in my Father's in me, and I am in you. Wow! How much more powerful can a person be? That which lies within us creates universes and all the stars. So from Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge of the Soul, I'm going to go through quite a few expressions about everything we are will never die. Everything I am will never die. Yes, it will never die. Never. In such an understanding, or even glimpses into that reality, it's not a truth, it's not a principle, it's not a model, it's not a motto. That reality, those glimpses awaken you, awaken me, awaken the we. Then we start to see. Collectively, as a world, we're moving into the vibration of heaven on earth. That's the prophecy. Neo, you are the one. Some of them I'm going to dissect, and some of them I'm just going to glance over. But everything I'm going to read to you before I lead into this video that I received 2 hours before this presentation, I was like, my God, this is so the same thing, somewhat the opposite. We'll get there. So from Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, since everything we are will never die, which is love, my cat, I had her for almost a year, just a month shy of a year. Wow. That I let her do that to me. That's beautiful. That's God to me. It weighs on my heart. But I decided this morning, instead of it being a painful choice, no, a suffering choice, as I said earlier, I'm just going to simply be happy for her that she finally gets what she deserves, which is attention. That I'm just not that person to do that. But I did save her and gave her direction to go to this next place where she belongs. All right, so here we go into the transcripts, the dialogues, the dynamics of my conversation with God for 8 years, compressed into this volume of 2 books, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. And it's going to move us into a video presentation that I received and learned about 2 hours ago. So here we go. Welcome, everyone. Pulse Radio, YouTube, Facebook. One of my new themes is all that is natural turns within itself, becoming infinitely greater expressions of itself, or supernatural. God is not only just natural nature, it's so super, it's beyond what we can understand. Supernatural. And there is nothing any of us can do about it. If you want to see God in its most natural state, the supernatural state, you have to open yourself up to beauty. So I'm now going to post those lyrics I promised from the Bee Gees. Actually, I can't. YouTube only allows so many characters. Do yourself a favor and go look up the Bee Gees song Too Much Heaven lyrics. Tonight has been inspired by one of those lines of those lyrics, which is, everything that we are will never die. So going to Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, excerpts about what it is that we are, which will never die, is love. And I don't mean, come here, baby. I mean, come here, baby. Be with me. Total difference. Spirit says at the very beginning of this book, I come to you, Keith, imbued with love and light, joy and might. My purpose is of the highest calling, to give you the precious gifts of my words and my love. Remember, love is always the key word here that we're focusing on to support the title of this presentation, love. To give you the precious gifts of my words and my love so that you can share them with others and inspire them to join you in carrying out my mission. Embrace each and all of your brother and sisters without discrimination and treat them with the same love I bestow upon you. That person that pissed you off, like Master Muji says, thank you. Spirit continues, between now and forever, I ask that you gather people, one at a time if you have to, but gather them do. Embrace each of your brothers and sisters without discrimination, what I just read, and treat them with the same love I bestow upon you. Be they enemies, friends, relatives, or strangers. Embrace every little spark of God. My stance of unconditional love, Spirit speaking, defines who I am. I come to you now to teach you, and I should have made the font a little bigger. I come to you now to teach you how to accept me, Spirit, in order that you may replace your sorrow, losing my kitty, giving her away. I come to you now to teach you how to replace your sorrow with joy. I love her. She deserves to be with a family that will give her attention. How to replace your sorrow with joy and your trepidation with love. To help you supplant separation with unity. You see, when you are in the love state, not only are you in my presence, the gift, it is there that you consciously merge with me, but we have to get you there first. I now bring you a love offering full of information to help you remember the peace you sometimes tend to overlook. When you judge, love begins to decay and fear begins to expand. Know that even now, you have what it takes to grasp the complexity of the universe and to anchor the divine principle if you accept living in love as your abiding criterion. What does matter is for you to believe with all that you have that I am God, Spirit. I am blanketing you and earth with love's vision so that humanity can see what has been created, how it is working, and what needs to be recycled for further expansion. And I ask Spirit this question, what constitutes love, and can anything exceed the parameters of love? That is a very sincere, authentic question. The answers are very simple. First, if you do not use your free will to impinge upon someone else's, you are exercising God's love. Second, my love knows no parameters. It transcends, tonight is Center of Light Heaven, that which is transcendent. It transcends all boundaries of time and space and judgment. It adheres to no rules pertaining to this or that. I do not judge myself to be anything other than myself. If I am complete love, is there anything I have created that is not an extension of me? I say to each of you, if you are sincerely seeking a better life, take responsibility and take action by pulling your perception out from under your fear. Only then will you be able to live in peace and share your love with all things in my creation. Tonight is Center of Light, Heaven, the Bee Gees, inspiration. Everything we are will never die. Once you cross this spiritual threshold, will you be able to further honor the contract that you made with God before you were born? Because you will then know that through experience that the life force within you is God. You will have no choice but to live your life as a love offering. After all, this is your purpose, dear one, to anchor the divine principle into your day-to-day reality. Despite your God amnesia, your greatest possibility, your higher self remains ready to emerge so that you can become love on earth. Yes, and when you traverse that spiritual threshold, you will enter into the kingdom of heaven, where the universal light reigns forever. Once you are there, you will be overwhelmed by utter serenity. You must realize that you can serve God in a far greater way than by trying to find love through approval. Spirit says, I need you. Not to find love, but to be love. This is the greatest obligation, duty, and responsibility. And I promise that meeting it will be no burden on you and will benefit everyone. Two more. When you unify with love, God, you become a part of something so divinely laid out that struggle ceases to be an issue. You have only to think of something and bang, it happens. That's called conscious unity. Jesus turns the water into wine. Fill up the vessels. But Master, why? Fill up the vessels. Fill your vessel up with the water, the life-giving water that we drink, the nourishment of life. And then we can get drunk on the wine and get out of the wine. But to move into the spirit, we call alcohol wine. So you get all these analogies. This should give you some idea of the inexhaustible love I have for you. And in closing, before I go to the video that I'm going to share shortly, to all my children, Spirit addresses all of us. Yanava, the essence of everything that we are will never die. To all my children, for the world to attain heaven on earth, things cannot be as they are now. This was 1996. It would take all nationalities coming together to achieve the goal of love. Everything that we are will never die. Peace and unity. Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe. And do your best to live in love, give in love, be in love, and love you shall receive. It is time to embrace yourselves, embrace all of humanity, and embrace the earth. Do this, and you embrace God. Join me. Finally, this is going to set up this next segment, which is this. It's going to be a while. If you're in it to win it, there's no other way to skin that cat. From homecoming, crossing the bridge to the soul. This is about information. God's love can come through information. This came into my awareness 2 hours before this presentation. Just hear it. It may aggravate you. That's okay. We all get aggravated. Tough your way through it. Climb that mountain. For all that you are will never die. So there's no reason to be threatened. listen, put it in a file, and if should ever a time come that you need it, you know how to retrieve it. Spirit says, as I pour my light into your mind and my love into your heart, just make a supreme effort. I am willing to eat dog shit if that's what it takes. Just make a supreme effort to remain open, relaxed, and aware in every moment, even when I am speaking directly to others. Only then can you integrate all my information. Jesus was the information we needed. He was in a formation that we needed. He embodied. He was informed. He was in a form. The Christ came as a corporeal self and said, I got something to tell you. This video has something to share. Listen. Just listen. Take it in. You don't have to believe it. It's not a requirement. But just listen. I don't mean here. Listen. It will help us. It's beautifully done. The author or the speaker, the narrator, has a wonderful voice. He will massage you. He will massage your heart, your soul. So how do we become center of light heaven? Everything that we are will never die. In my opinion, I don't like opinions. From what I heard of this expression in a video form, 2 hours, I stopped it because I heard 15, 20 minutes of it and I said, I feel safe. Safe meaning comfortable, that this is an expression of something I lean into and I will learn just like you. See what happens on the backside of the 15 minutes I didn't listen to. And I will be honest. I'll see you shortly. Keith Anthony Blanchard, Center of Light. Hello, PulseTalkRadio.com. Hello, YouTube. Everyone, I love you. See you shortly. Shortly, 45 minutes. Stick around. Get into the fire. Get in there. Get in there. What else you have to do? You're homebound. Now it's time to go home.
I'll start with a disclaimer. This is a difficult video. It's a grown-up message for grown-up viewers with the ability to control their emotions. You might feel uncomfortable with the realizations you come to after watching this video. If you're not willing to go through this, do not watch it. Don't let curiosity disrupt the image of your world. This video is dedicated to a tiny minority of people willing to learn or expand their knowledge. Not everyone is ready for this message. Some of the truths might seem to be negative, but only to those who are not ready to learn. The lies can be usually seen with a pure heart and an open mind. The more you know, the more positive it will appear to you. This video's purpose is to help you and make your life better. It's not about presenting all existing lies to you, but it's more about making you aware that you're lied to all the time. I'll give you some examples for you to think about, but it's supposed to be just an introduction into the subject of truth. I've been collecting this information for more than a decade, and it could be easily turned into a 10-episode documentary, and we still probably wouldn't even scratch the surface of the illusion that we all live in. If you're a skeptic, I don't blame you. The scale and extent of lies is unimaginable and very difficult to accept. In fact, we're at a stage where the reality is stranger than fiction. If you believe in the existence of conspiracy theories, this video is also not for you. With everything happening around us, they're no longer theories. This video is a test of your open-mindedness, and I want to ask you to invest 30 minutes of your life and watch the whole video despite your skepticism, as it might help you with adapting to the changes coming in the near future for everyone on Earth. Please refrain from negative comments, downvoting, and disliking. If you feel compelled to do this, it means you're watching a video that is not meant for you. Please move on and have respect for the time and energy it took to make this video. You can argue, disagree, and reject some of the theories. That's okay, but it won't change the lies that govern your life. You don't have the luxury of disbelief anymore, as your current reality is literally made of evidence of these lies, and it's time you transform your doubt into comforting acceptance. I invite you to a discussion, as I do not have the monopoly on truth, and I might be wrong in some aspects. In fact, I hope I am. Even if not everything you will learn here is true, it will be still 100 times more real than the fake version of reality you're being told to subscribe to. People like me who know about the lies are constantly ridiculed, and the irony is that we're the ones who can save others. I'm not going to give you references as this would require too much time. Everything I present here can be looked up, and there have been many books published on these subjects. In fact, they're mostly not my discoveries, and I'm presenting to you conclusions of other logical and intelligent researchers and scientists. Share this video with those you want to help. This video is copyright free. Use the link below and download it to make it available to everyone on your social media. There's also an MP3 link in the description for you to listen to in your free time. There are not many videos like this. This channel is extremely unique and there are more videos to come, but I can only continue my work if you support this channel financially, as these videos are my full-time job and I can only offer these insights to others through your generosity and with you expressing gratitude. Your support speeds up the awakening process. All the methods are listed on the screen and in the video description. Thank you for your help. Let's start by talking about what you need to know about the nature of lies. Your life is not yours. It was designed for you. Every element was carefully choreographed and planned a long time ago, and there is nothing organic about the seemingly natural evolutionary process of creation of everything around you. It is designed and controlled by a small, invisible group of people who try to force humankind to be a part of their vision. Yes, they're real, and the politicians you elect are not pulling the strings. You really do live in the matrix on many levels, but here we will deal with the informational matrix of lies you're stuck in on a daily basis. You need to know about their existence because we reached a stage where lies are decomposing our world and your life. You live at the end of the age of deception, and you need to understand that you're purposely and artificially kept at a mental level of a child living in the equivalent of intellectual Middle Ages. This deceptive house of cards is crumbling down, and the global situation we all found ourselves in is damage control as a result of us freeing ourselves from their intellectual control and us becoming independent. We no longer need to ask whether everything is a lie, but rather who's behind them and what's the extent of this exercise. It is time to ask and answer the question who we really are as a species and what is our purpose. You and future generations deserve to know the truth, as there is no possibility of conscious existence without healthy awareness of your environment. You need to know the truth because the inability to understand the lies can cost you everything. The resulting society's demand for conformity is the leading cause of pathology, anxiety, and alienation. If you live by lies, you live in a destruction mode. Your body, your relationships, your world, your society, they'll all be the price to pay. It's only when you see all the lies, it's when you're able to exist and function in harmony with yourself and your surroundings. Only the truth can set you free, and you'll not get there until you can see the illusion. Most of all, you need to understand the lies to see your future. Awakening and consciousness shift are impossible when you're running in circles, confused and frustrated. Humans are getting ready, and the truth movement is gaining momentum. We need to start waking up quickly before we still have access to free exchange of information. The window for accessing and learning the truth is also closing very fast, and if you don't educate yourself now, soon you might not have that chance. Every area of your life that is filled with lies will undergo a transformation. This is the end game of the centuries-long age of deception, both for us and for those in control. There will come a time soon when almost everyone will have no chance but to start awakening to what is going on, and they will desperately need guidance. Smart people like you who have had the time and the courage to educate and prepare themselves for the collapse of the matrix will need to usher the rest out of the world of illusion into the real world. It's a painful and brutal process, and the future of mankind's consciousness will be in the hands of informed people like you. You need to know about the lies because there is a huge revolution coming, an inevitable conflict between us and them. Educate yourself. Be on the right side of history, as you are now involved in unprecedented changes of our world. People like me are significant disrupting elements, and it's time there's more of us. I'm telling you all of this so that things can change, so that you can change. But why would you want to listen to me? There are a few reasons. I've already been through what is about to come. I grew up in a communist country surrounded by communist lies. At an early young age, I learned the mechanisms of deception. My world was first destroyed by utopian socialist propaganda, and then came the greed of ruthless capitalism. I grew up in an industrial city surrounded by coal mines, and these mines were at the top of the list for deletion of the global financial powers. It started with coal mines and then it was done to all other industry sectors. The process had a full of hope sounding name of restructurization and resulted in controlled implosion of the whole economy nationwide, plunging everyone into an endless spiral of poverty and debt lasting to this day. I witnessed it firsthand, and I'm telling you this because the same group of people 30 years later is financially incentivizing today a similar process, but this time on a global scale. That's why it is worth listening to me. Before I tell you about the lies, I want to address two more questions. What is the reason for all the deception? This is a short answer: control and profit. The lies are the inability for those who pull the strings to control their ego, to get through to you with love and logic, to honestly ask you to join them in their vision of the world. This should help you realize the nature of their agenda. If it has to be done through deception and lies, you can understand how little value their plans have for us. How to know what's true and what's a lie? Look for censorship and ridiculing. People are silenced when they tell the truth or when they expose important lies. Look who it is you can't criticize. Research everything and don't take anything at face value. Recognize the patterns. See who endorses a given message and where it comes from. Learn to connect the dots and look for analogies. Humans as individuals have a lot of wonderful traits and they're very powerful, and that's what my videos mostly deal with. In this video, I will concentrate on what makes them collectively such efficient believers in illusion. Those in control achieve their goals with their simple and primitive lies because they know the truth. They don't need to make much effort because they know us better than we know ourselves. They know what we're made of, and this is why only a few have access to the truth. One of the biggest lies has to do with us, humans, as we're not what you think we are. You're not as powerless as they want you to be, and metaphysically, you're an incredible entity. It is your physical form that is problematic, and you need to understand its limitations. The design of human body, although incredibly complex and wonderful, is inferior to most animals on Earth. If you were a flea, you could jump over the Empire State Building. If you were a shrimp, you could see the full spectrum of light. And if you were a dog, you could identify a chemical substance in order of its molecular weight. Whoever or whatever designed us did a lousy job. And while human genome is 700 megabytes of the most complex code there is, it contains more than 4,000 genetic errors with serious implications for all of us. If you were to look at us from an alien perspective, you would realize that there are two distinctive features about being a human: lying and constantly being wrong. The human mind is so conflicted that I can't even talk openly about most of the truths without many getting outraged here. I need to use disclaimers and self-censorship because it is easier to lie to humans than to convince them they have been lied to. From my observations, it seems that the biggest problem is low intelligence and lack of logic. Only close to 1 in 100,000 people have the IQ level necessary to understand the processes governing this reality, and that still won't grant them the ability to acknowledge the lies and accept them as true. Most humans are closed-minded with no ability to think in abstract terms and to analyze simultaneously two opposing or conflicting theories. It is because they're more emotional than rational, and this impulsive nature makes them collectively anxious, greedy, naive, ignorant, indecisive, ego-driven, and cruel. But worst of all, as a group, they're chaotic and disorganized without strong leadership. Together with the indoctrination efforts of those in power, it renders humans to be a submissive, obedient, and easy to control and distract hive mind. If you would like to understand what I'm talking about, watch the movie Truman Show with Jim Carrey and pay attention to how the main character is not controlled by any external force, but rather how he is kept in his place by a system of inner beliefs reinforced not by his ruler, but by his family and friends who collectively create a self-perpetuating world of lies and illusions. The most difficult part of human nature to overcome is the constant need for submission to authority and father figures, and allowing a handful of crooked individuals to decide about the lives of billions. Collectively, we have a very bad memory, and we quickly forget that this always results in us being victims and them profiting off of our suffering. Statistically speaking, only 15% of people can't be affected by mind control and propaganda due to a presence of DNA marker that is switched on by higher frequency of your thoughts, and this might be the true reason why your pineal gland is always the ground zero of every war waged on your mind. The fact that you're listening to me now means that you're in that tiny minority of healthy and open-minded individuals capable of shifting the course of history for the remaining 85%. All of them go through life never having a single original thought, and every time they're confronted with a new, unfamiliar concept, they're forced to react with anger and hostility. To accept any form of new idea, it needs to be translated with the use of already functioning structures and concepts by an authoritative figure. That's why true ignorance is the unwillingness to learn, at the same time religiously believing in illogical and unverified lies handed over by politicians, medical establishment, and legacy media. An average person raised in a deceptive environment based on lies develops faulty reality perception and analysis mechanisms that eventually won't allow them to understand anything that's happening around them, both by believing something that isn't and not believing something that is. Let's concentrate now on those lies that human existence is made of. We'll start from simple everyday issues like food. The nutritional pyramid that has been promoted for the last few decades to feed generations of people is in fact an upside-down version of true human nutritional needs. This lie has led to a global health disaster, with the US itself destined to be bankrupt in 20 years due to the cost of treating diabetes patients alone. Your grocery store has shelves stocked with lies. You're not being sold foods that are healthy, but foods that bring the most profit and have the longest expiry date. In fact, half of the foods that are required to maintain health are not even sold in supermarkets. And if you were to analyze what you fill your shopping cart with, you will find there grains, milk, meat, sugar, salt, and processed oils. Foods that should never be a part of your staple diet. But you would never know this because you're too busy counting calories, a fake energy unit that has absolutely no relevance to human body. The food labels lie to you with their pointless nutritional values based on the content of fat, carbohydrates, fiber, and protein. And according to them, nourishing and life-saving foods like mushrooms or watermelons have no health benefits whatsoever. You can't expect to learn the truth about this, as human health itself is a giant lie. The medical system today is designed not to cure you of your diseases, but to prolong a permanent state of sickness or to make sure you die fast. Yes, in the name of profit, you're being medically poisoned until your immune system gives up. Statistically speaking, conventional medicine, with its prescription drugs and medical mistakes and malpractice, is the leading cause of death in the Western world. This is because the medical giants are lying about the nature of diseases for profit, creating a whole list of fake conditions for the purpose of medicating healthy people. The truth is that these multiple conditions doctors call a disease are in reality one condition, a weakened immune system caused by malnutrition and lifestyle toxicity, manifesting through a variety of symptoms. You're being lied about constant threat from bacteria and viruses, and no one is willing to explain to you that not only microbes make up half of Earth's biomass, but that there are 10 times more bacteria in your body than there are cells. You're literally made of germs that are kept at bay by a strong immune system. As long as you take care of yourself, they will have no environment to breed. You're lied to about the curing effects of chemical compounds, while cannabis and psychedelics, the most incredible medicine known to humans, are banned. You need to spend a lot of time to find any information about the strong correlation between high sugar intake and schizophrenia, but you're told everywhere that sun exposure is harmful and that it is perfectly fine to put mercury in your teeth, the most disruptive neurotoxin known to man, only 2 inches away from your brain. We have all accepted this lie of physical degradation and aging as an inevitable process, forgetting that there is no aging code in your DNA, and in theory, you should live forever. Any reports of people living for decades beyond the imaginary limit of 100 years are immediately labeled as a lie, like in the case of a Tibetan man who's believed to have lived for 256 years, and apparently he wasn't the oldest. Another big lie is the issue of death itself. Mainstream science conveniently ignores the fact that with thousands of reliable reports, reincarnation is now a scientific fact. Reputable scientists will lie to discredit anyone who offers irrefutable proof that some children are born with legitimate and detailed memories of previous lives. Every report of near-death experience is rejected as a hallucination of an oxygen-deprived brain or some other unscientific hocus-pocus. Today's knowledge is nothing more than an amalgam of illogical excuses and avoiding techniques for the unexplainable metaphysical nature of a rich and complex world that we deny its wisdom and beauty of. Science is made of people, and it is paid for, distorted, and manipulated. In the 19th century, so-called scientists stated that human body couldn't travel at more than 30 miles per hour without suffocating. A century later, the first flight of Wright brothers was claimed to be a hoax because of a widespread belief that objects heavier than air can fly. The same was claimed about traveling with the speed of sound. It is always the same story, where important scientific discoveries are ridiculed and dismissed because they don't fit the current mainstream narrative. At the same time, pseudoscientists are used as an entertaining smokescreen and distraction from important, beneficial discoveries and technologies. Throughout history, people like Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and other con artists have been used to promote abstract pseudoscientific misinformation, lying to millions of potentially brilliant minds and dragging them away from the experimental nature of objective research and forcing them to regurgitate state-sponsored heresies. Anyone with a little free time on their hands can look into these theories and realize that they're propagating nothing but false assumptions founded on absurd imaginary theories, while the real scientists, like Nikola Tesla, are purposely omitted and removed from textbooks. The level of deception and misinformation is so high that literally anyone can start a social media account with thousands of followers and study or even stumble upon a well-hidden factual scientific mystery, like it happened in my case. It took me only a few months of discussions with other psychonauts to learn that humans collectively receive the same information from a place outside of this reality. You will not be able to learn about it unless you browse through pages of declassified documents of 3-letter government agencies who've been secretly studying and mapping the metaphysical dimensions outside of ours for at least half a century. They know that the physical nature of this reality is a lie. But you won't know this because we live in a social structure where one man can demonize psychoactive substance, effectively leading to a worldwide ban lasting for over 70 years, destroying millions of lives in the process and costing the world endless amount of time, money, energy, and suffering. Harry Anslinger was the politician who lying successfully lobbied to create a long-lasting prohibition on cannabis, leading to the emergence of black markets and a drug war that changed the world for everyone. The same type of lies and misinformation demonized and delegalized psychedelic substances in the 70s. Countless generations of depressed individuals were denied access to the therapeutic and healing effects of psychoactive substances in the name of saving lives. Sounds familiar? Psychedelics are not illegal because the government cares about you, but because these substances expand your mind and allow you to see the lies of the ruling class. That's the true nature why any type of consciousness that is not related to consumption or production is banned in Western civilization, and that's the true reason why mind-altering psychoactive substances remain largely illegal. In general, every type of societal freedom is a lie. The illusion of freedom is beneficial because it increases productivity, but in reality, you're trained to fear true freedom and independence. You're free to do as you're told, and you're allowed to leave, but not to have real freedom. The interesting thing is that humans have the tendency to enslave themselves voluntarily with technology. Those of you who use devices like Alexa, Siri, Google, or even cell phones and smart TVs don't realize that everyone now is spied on through the use of closed captioning system. Everything you say in the vicinity of those systems is being voice recognized, transcribed, and uploaded as text to a remote server. Everything you say is stored and might be used against you at any moment. You accepted this in terms and conditions, and if you do anything that is considered a threat to the status quo, you'll end up in the next lie that society has been perpetrating mindlessly for millennia, the prison and punishment system. The criminal justice system we have is a lie. Its goal is based on a false and unscientific belief that punishment stops violence, when in reality, it is the most efficient stimulant of violence and the easiest method to turn a normal person into a permanent criminal. Study after study has confirmed that as far as resocialization goes, the prison system is a failure. If it worked, we would see no criminals left in the streets, but it doesn't do anything because it has been proven experimentally that punishment works only when it is applied immediately after the crime, when the perpetrator can create a mental association between their act and the penal consequences. The truth is that we run a pseudo-legal system of inefficient persecution instead of reconditioning. If we can condition people to listen to a lying government, why can we not condition people to be loving and caring? We punish those who need our help the most, kicking them when they're down, while they're the victims of the failures of social pathology they were unwillingly subject to. In most countries, people are in prison not because they're criminals, but because someone is making money on it. This system of oppression is supported by another lie, that society is made of intolerant, racist, violent, and dangerous people, while the truth is that it is constant repetition of this lie that creates them and makes society fight against each other. Just as a coal mine might be used and then abandoned, certain parts of society, so-called useful idiots, are lied to, used, and abandoned. The last US election was a perfect example of this process on both sides. The lies of division make us concentrate on anything that makes us feel different, be it race, sexuality, political views, religion, and so on. Our compassion and empathy is weaponized and used against us, creating a lot of internal fear. And because denial is the best remedy for anxiety, the biggest liars within a society are always the most scared and insecure ones. And all of this because we believe in another catastrophic lie, that humans as a society require managers in charge, and what we have effectively created is a parasitic layer of social structure recruited from the worst type of liars. Ruthless, egoistic, money and power-hungry social and psychopaths. The political electoral pyramid system is fundamentally a lie. As long as you choose a representative to govern a small unit, it works fine. But when these representatives elect secondary representatives to rule over them, the whole system becomes detached from the original unit, us, the society. And every action and decision taken by this pyramid scheme players is driven by selfish self-preservation interests of the top, opposing the needs of society who created them. Politics in reality is a scam based on electing the least painful system of oppression. Government and its actions can simply be defined as mafia, robbing, terrorizing, and exploiting the very people they're supposed to protect from evil. Almost all modern elections are rigged. Regularly occurring close-run results in big social units are a mathematical and logical impossibility. Every time you see fractional result difference, you can be sure you're witnessing a political manipulation. It is difficult to realize this because democracy itself is a giant lie. The fact that this system took over the world doesn't mean that it makes sense. It is a fake control system giving society the illusion of choice. It is a naive belief in collective wisdom of individual ignorance, where majority is told to make a decision only to be told what decisions to make next. How can you run efficiently a society where you implement a system dividing people into opposing camps? And why would majority be right in making decisions? The whole system is designed for the majority that doesn't have a significant impact on its own future. I've already explained the issue of average intelligence. The most creative and important social units are ignored, and they are the ones who positively shape society. Don't think that any other system is better. Every social concept that ends in ism is only a different version of a stock controlling and managing system and has nothing to do with freedom. I don't think I need to try and convince you that without mass media, the advertising agency of the government, there could be no effective propaganda. You're not getting news or facts, but lies in form of distilled opinions carefully chosen to shape your mindset. It is a fear-generating tool where you will not find any information about positive aspects of our life. Another element of the brainwashing system is Hollywood. Raising generations on its expensive and elaborate visual creations, it is a lie-spreading machine of unrivaled proportions. You probably don't know this, but Hollywood, and Netflix now, is lying to you by selling you only one movie. Almost every single film is the same story of transformation of the main character, with additional lies hidden in the seemingly different story details, where the viewer is subconsciously programmed to believe in a particular set of values that Hollywood finds desirable. They are generous enough to share with you the planned future events like in V for Vendetta, or even play with your imagination by explaining what the reality is about, like in the case of Matrix or The Truman Show. But even if you're not a fan of blockbuster creations, you're still lied to by every screen you look at through advertising. What most of us accept as a natural element of every visual message is in fact a lie used to force you to purchase what you don't need. Corporations sell their products and services by creating needs that initially didn't exist in you. The truth is that whatever valuable you really need, you will find without advertising and promotional materials standing between you and your real desires. They're separating you from fulfilling your natural urges and replacing them with satisfaction of acquiring worthless material goods. And that's how you discover the true rulers of our reality now. While democracy is a fake illusion of a system, the real governing power of the world today is something that can only be described as corporatocracy. You're in reality governed by a handful of powerful corporate entities whose income and budget rivals that of many nations. They are the ones who control the flow of money, power, and information. The problem is that if you were to create a psychological profile of a corporation, you would end up with a psychopath manifesting their narcissistic behavior through disregard to needs and safety of others, the inability to create a lasting relationship, failure to conform to social norms or to experience guilt, and so on. Which takes us to another giant lie, one very close to your heart, the lie of money. The designers of the system know that the more economically stressed a society is, the more delusional and obedient it becomes. The unequal wealth distribution is poverty by design. In fact, all poverty in the world is designed. We live in a rich world abundant in all we need to thrive as species and individuals, and hunger, poverty, or diseases shouldn't exist. The lie is that the money you have in your account or in your wallet are in reality made of debt. Your credit card is a lie of a life you can't afford, and the whole debt culture we live in is fake. You don't even know that your paper money has been worthless for more than 50 years ever since it was detached from gold standard. The financial problems we have today are not a result of few bad political decisions. They're a result of our blindness to the banking frauds happening for centuries. Stock exchanges are rigged, and the recent Wall Street scandal exposed it. Derivative and currency markets responsible for creating the illusion of economic growth don't actually produce anything of value in the real world. To make things worse, even Bitcoin, the poster child of our financial future, is a giant lie. A complex digital currency system that is believed to be a creation of a lone genius rebel is in fact a trial run for a global digital currency replacement coming soon. Also,
Welcome back to Center of Light. I heard all I want to hear. It's the same thing, but the idea, the picture has been painted. And thank you, Mary, for posting what you did, because it triggered me that it became rhetoric. He delivered his wad first 15 minutes. But he was telling the story of change, what to look at, what to not look at. So it gives us the idea of what it's like to be in heaven. So what is heaven? Heaven, again, is not a place, but it's a space to be in. So I want to share with you something that just happened to me while this video was going down. I went to the fridge to get a bite to eat, and I began to think about, for those who have been watching all night, my situation about my little kitty cat that I just gave away tonight. I had her for a year. I became attached in a beautiful way, but not such a spiritual development way. I became attached. I'm attached to reality. But this is what happened during the video. I want to get a bite of food. Beautiful. Tonight is Center of Light Heaven. Everything we are will never die. I'll make the point shortly. During this video break, I was wondering what is happening with Crystal, my beautiful little cat that I let do that to me. What's happening with her? Because I gave her away tonight to what I thought, think, feel, intuit is a powerful, beautiful family that she deserves. So tonight I was wondering what is happening with Crystal. Then it dawned upon me to wonder what is happening with me. Because in my wondering what is happening to Crystal, I don't deserve that right. That is a very beautiful thing that I gave up. Right, wrong, in, out, up, down, hot, cold, all about. For whatever reasons, I passed her on to another beautiful family. I don't have that right anymore to wonder what's happening to her. Follow me. Not only hear me out, listen me in. When I went into commercial break, the video that played, to get that food, The first thing I was expecting was a just under 1-year-old cat was gonna navigate through my moving legs towards the refrigerator. That thing, that response. I'm not blaming her. This is me. I was expecting that. And it wasn't there. I'm like, oh my God, my mind just shattered. Everything I thought was real convinced me as to why I stuttered, expecting a something to happen, and it didn't. It cracked my mind. Completely cracked it. And told me the illusion I've been living in, as much as I love her and want well for her, what I thought about everything to that point was bullshit. It was a lie. And because of my liberation, that when I came back into the room, expecting her to jump and do these things, was not happening, I felt liberated. Because my mind cracked, expecting this thing to happen. I was like, oh my God, it's done. Doesn't mean I don't love her. I have pictures I'll show you. I cried like a baby. Point is, her and I's connectivity is, if my mind, as her daddy, my little kitty's daddy, was shattered, and I pass this to my offspring, her mind has no choice but to be shattered. Likewise, when I found my liberation, that I don't have this expectation of always wondering what she's doing out of concern, but also out of the fact that she wants my attention and I can't give it. I was liberated. And what I understood in that moment, because as her parent, it should be apparent, which it was to me, when I became liberated, I felt absolute joy that so is she. It's done. It was just done. I had to share that with you. I had to share that with you. All that we are, everything that we are, it will never die. Those people you don't like anymore, in fact, you still have a little piss and vinegar, it's okay. It's human to be piss and vinegar. But you did have some exchange with them of being in love, being in heaven. Friends, guys, girls, relationships of any sort, a job. At some point you loved it. That's why you kept with it as long as you did. And when you did not, we all get a little boogered and bothered about it. Meh, grumbly, rumbly, John Doe, Jill Doe. I get it. It's fun to be human. It's like the roller coaster at an amusement park versus the Ferris wheel, which is so peaceful. The roller coaster does this. We like the coaster. We like the movie The Exorcist. We do. Why? Great question. Probably because we're tired and bored. For eternity, because we've always been in the light and we'll forever be the light. Is there anything different? And God says, sure. Here's an amusement park called Earth. Go get all your worth. And in all mirth, you're not going to like it when you ride that coaster that you think you want to ride. But when you come back home, homecoming crossing the bridge to the soul, you go back to the Ferris wheel. Kind of idea. Peaceful. That's the deal. Tonight has been inspired by the Bee Gees. Listen to the song. Before you listen to the song, get the lyrics. Find the right lyrics. One version of the lyric is, everything we own will never die. That's not the right lyric. The lyric is, everything we are will never die. I listened to this song a few days ago. I was like, my God, what a delicious song. Performance. They are so becoming one of my, they're passing everybody up in my all-time favorite list. Musical avatars, geniuses, open to the vessel, three brothers. Everything we are will never die. You know that. You can deny it all you want. But eventually, the volleyball tournament within yourself, it will tax you. And when both teams sit on the sidelines to take a breath, something else is going to happen. And guess what that something else is? It's simply the game itself for the fun of playing a game. That will never die. Heaven, center of light heaven, is because you're an eternal child of the light, God. What else could you do? You have your spiritual, what do you call those things? PlayStations. But here's the ticket. Have all the fun you want. Play all you want. Whatever you engage in, play it to the end. You know what it's like to play the video game, and it pisses you off because every time you try, metaphorically, every time you try, you die, and you only get 3 lives in these arcade games, right? Well, my cat gets 9 lives. Point being, we keep doing this in not only intervals of every night that we go to sleep and wake up, every night we go to sleep and wake up, every breath, this life, eons, existences of cosmic to divine to eternal, everything for infinitely turns within itself. Why? Because it loves itself so much. It always yearns, churns, burns, and turns into greater possibilities because it loves itself. Understanding that state of heaven is your natural state. When we understand that fully, in, out, up, down, all around, all about, everything abounds, without a doubt, we will understand that everything we are will never die. People are scared to die. I'm scared to die with my ego tonight when I go to bed, hoping some part arises in me. None of us want to lose identity. We think it's the body, but actually our identity that we're choosing to not want to die is really the mind. It's convincing. The mind wants to tell you, you are the body. And the body is the one, believe it or not, that has all the memory. The body carries all the memory, all of it, because it's in genetic code. Center of light tonight. Thank you, the Bee Gees. Barry is the only one left. He's the oldest. Maurice went first. Robin went second. Where did they go? They didn't go anywhere. They went further into the experience of the spirit of these musical avatars. Center of light heaven, where is it? It's you in your joyful state, no matter where you are. Because no matter where you are you. Heaven or hell. Your love beyond measure. Everyone, thank you. YouTube, Facebook, as well as PulseTalkRadio.com. I'm going to continue to broadcast on PulseRadioTalk.com. Carl, thank you very much for doing what you do and supporting my work. Everyone, do your spiritual twerk. Don't be a jerk. Peace.